Hello, folks. This is the Borderless African channel, and I'm your host. Uh, Today, we're going to bring you a very interesting topic. And before then, we would like you to help us to subscribe to this channel so that we could grow it and also share so that anytime we upload, a lot of our interesting listeners, family, can have the opportunity to interact. Uh, we want to bring you, we are the channel, we like to bring you interesting topics that a lot of people don't want to talk about or don't want to discuss because it's not important to them. And or as if we don't discuss these topics for some magical reason, things can work, but things are not really working. 70 years into independence, a lot of stuff is not working. So we need to talk. We need to talk about, no matter how controversial topics are, we need to discuss them. And that's the only way we can move forward and find solution to some of these stuff that are stalking us. We are not growing. So today we introduce you to one critical thinker. His name is Mr. Zanu. He's making waves within the American uh, society, and then it's our privilege to bring him to you in this interview with another brother. The topic based on importance of language. So um, let's listen to it.
We have a certain perspective of life.
And at the back of
Now I
it,
need to learn another language that's tied to a different
I'll come back.
economic system, theological system, right? So how do I become conflicted now because it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like this is how we do stuff, right? Within my language and culture. But within this language and culture, they do it totally different. Even a simple concept of work, right? Back in Jamaica, now not modern, but older times, right? And I've seen this with my own eyes. And I'm not saying this is a good thing. A person has to go to work, right? Or they have not even work, they have to do something. They're walking down the street, they see a friend. They'll stay there for 2 hours and talk because this conversation, this relationship is more important than the thing I have to do. Now, in Western society, you're not important to me. I'll maybe give you a high five and a high, but I have to go there. It's not saying one is better than the other, but the interpretation of culture is different.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So I just wanted to ask you now, because you know a lot of
Listen,
languages.
Linton, language corrupts. It does. Completely. You can go into any society, listen to the language they are speaking and the way they speak it, and look at their behavior. Now, I'm not trying to be controversial. Okay? Sometimes when you have an inspiration to understand something, you can help. You have to say it. Now, if somebody doesn't agree with it, me saying it does you no harm. If you are not divisive, you're not going to divide just because I said something about you. But this is important to me. Whose language, my language became bastardized. I had to work 10 times hard to admit that. What you just said must be something we have to talk about. Many cultures experience it, and they try hard not to allow another language to come in. See what is very unique about the 8 industrialized countries, what we call the G8. One language, one history, and some of them one ethnicity. America could be allowed to be a bilingual, Spanish and English, but they work hard to say, keep it out. Keep it out. Now, I've been to Jamaica, and I've been among Haitians very much, and some African, and I can listen to the language.
Tweet in there, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I know already.
And then the patois or the Creole and the way you speak it that has no structure. 2 vowels in a sentence, in a word, it has no structure at all. And it informs also the people. how they look at the outside world, and how they attend to things they attend to. So language becomes whenever, look, it's in a metaphor in the Bible, which the Bible I respect a lot, because as people read it as events that happen, I look at it as the most powerful teaching tool ever written. It says there was once upon a time a people who were able to build a tower. That's correct. They must be talking to each other. They must have an exact understanding of what they were saying for the structure to be able to grow that fast and steady. Then they said God looked down and saw the arrogancy, and he changed the language. And that was when the tower ceased to grow. Who cannot understand this? Who can't understand this? So why don't you look into Africa? When the language was uniform to the people, the village was organized. And now you have a room of Babels, nobody can understand each other. And then they introduce a third language called English or French or Spanish or Portuguese and say, well, use this to get on.
I wanted to ask you also, right? Because I'm glad you're here. You were in an environment where you were forced to learn English at the end of the day. It is what
Yes.
it is. And do you? It seems like they do this over and over, right? They did it here with indigenous people. Do you not have a disdain for your own language and also like your own culture because they're always putting it down? The way it's presented as if it's like something you're not supposed to do. Do you internalize that as a kid? Does that create a division between child and parent? Because
No, child and child.
child and child.
In Ghana, there were languages we couldn't speak. And if anybody is listening, the airways, which is the Volta, the southern part, the Volta, eastern part of Ghana, the airways, when they move to Accra, when you speak airway, they laugh at you. By Ghanaians, other Ghanaians.
Why is that? It's been so demonized over the years, or what's the story?
I don't know where it came from. Yeah. But airways had a hard time in Accra. Yes. Some have to quickly learn either Twi or Gan. Okay? Those are the only two languages if you can speak or you come from it, you are respected. Even the Northerners, when they come to Accra, some of them will not want to speak their language because the language comes with certain stigmas and the way they look at you.
Can you survive in Africa without being bilingual or multilingual? Because you have your traditional language for whatever group you're a part, right?
Yeah,
And if that's not the language in the main city, you have to learn that.
that's
And
correct.
depending who conquers you, it seems like you have to
So
learn
your
that too.
growth
Yeah.
is severely stunted
Yeah.
if you come from the northern region. Okay? Because northerners, their tongue is very heavy. So being able to learn another language is so difficult. I don't know why they find it so difficult. The southern and the middle people of Ghana or Benin, they are able to pick each other's language very quickly.
What's that about?
Okay. Um, I want to interject about how language can corrupt. Um, Cultures are different, and then, for instance, let me go there. Let's say in Volta region of Ghana or the areas of Ghana, where they are coming from and their belief system allows them to keep their environment very clean in a Volta region based on their belief system and cultural practices. I'm not saying a lot of other cultures are not clean, but coming to the metropole, the metropoles are filthy, and I cannot say it's based on the people living in these metropoles where others find themselves coming into. But we can discuss this. Is it a culture of the people that allows them to be this negligent of the environment? Is it within the language that they speak? Their worldview of how to keep environment allows them to neglect the environment. these are some of the things that we have to look into before putting people together. Because when one environment and their culture it's problematic and we want everybody to be part of that culture or everybody have to be one within that culture, then we started borrowing elements of inhygienic culture into ourselves. Okay, so that's something that I would like to, when he said language can corrupt, the language that you are adopting, if a lot of things within the language culture is not taken seriously, then your children you are born into that culture uh, can be very, very, very opposing to where their parents are coming from. American culture and language can be very corrupting to children. The way the slang is, the way certain words are, um, the way they just speak it with careless abandon. For instance, motherfucker. You know, it's a hell of a word, but in America, it just think about it, motherfucker. You see, something like that. That can corrupt children very, very, very in a way that you want to shield your children from something like that. But how can you do that? You see, so let's continue. Let's continue.
The Northerners has this um, behavior also. They also, when they come down to Accra, they always segregate into one corner.
So lack of repetition and interaction.
They don't interact, but yes, and the kind of jobs they do is always individual. Either carry load for you to your house, drop it, and then collect money and go away. So they like to stay among each other because of one religion. They're usually Muslims, okay, and their food is different. So you know that yeah, people like to attract each other because these people are too sophisticated. So if I'm among them, then I would look less sophisticated. But if I'm among my people, so we have a place in Ghana called Zongo. It's just Northerners. They won't change anything about themselves. I don't want to describe the kind of existence they used to have, and it's called Zongo. If you want any strong person to come and do some menial jobs, you go to Zongo. Then there was Nima, which is also, Shatawale? He's a Ghanaian dancehall star. Okay, he comes from that place, which is, I don't know which slum to compare it to, and it's also majority Northerners. But those from the Volta region, Accra, Kumasi, when they come down and they are mixing, because I don't know, they because the Europeans they stayed in the southern part all the time because you see they come by ship, right? And so that's why everywhere they colonize in Africa, usually it's the coastal area. That's where they build the forts in castles. That's correct. So those in the mid to the lower part, it's easy for you to come down and have an interaction with the foreigners. The northerners, very dry, it's hard. They don't have motor vehicles were not around. So they were not able to come down and to have this sophistication. So when it was over, you can see clear division of how they live and all that. So they become these stained people. And so airway, it's until recently, man, you couldn't sing it. The kids will laugh at you. If you go to school as an Airway boy in the 60s, the food you eat was teased in Accra. The language you spoke. To the point people were traumatized with the language they spoke, especially Airway and then the northern part. So yes, language is so very important, Linton. You cannot under it's just so important. It's the center of everything. When 2, 3 people united can die for each other, it's not a skin color, it's not history, it's because the language conveys everything. So I keep warning African Americans, which is my great great grandfathers who were stolen from West Africa and brought here. The first thing they lost, language. That's it.
Okay, so now um, Very interesting topic. Very, very interesting topic. Language is very important, and we need to take it seriously in our forced colonial nations. The project is now working. Nigeria, for instance, can be divided into six, seven nations based on language, and it will work. The way it is not working. They have Pidgin English in common, but it's still not working. Ghana can do the same. People will say, "Hey, borderless Africa, you are championing for borderless Africa." Yes, we champion for borderless Africa, but it does not mean that the way things are should remain the same. Africa can have 100 nations. Africa can have 200 nations. If we understand that we are in this together, it does not matter whether a nation is built based on a language. It does not matter because that is what we have today. We are boggling to one nation with different ethnicity, and it's not working. So why can we try something else? Let these nations go back to where they were before the colonial project for European profits. That's what we are experiencing now. For European profit, we are not profiting from anything. And we're trying to hold these nations together, like Nigeria, like Ghana, like Kuto, like Benin, like Togo, like Cameroon. We're trying to hold these things together at all cost, and it's costing us, and we are not developing, and it's bringing. Uh, so this is a conversation that needs to be had. You see, language can corrupt. Certain dominant cultures may have certain things not in common with other cultures. And if you are forced to adopt their ways, then you are killing yourself. You know, in Ghana, the there's a culture that is matrilineal. Okay, and the understanding of certain things are not the same as the cultures that are patrilineal. Okay, I don't want to go into details of what they do, what they don't do, but we can talk about all these things. The pillars on which matrilineal is 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 based on are totally different from the pillars that patrilineals are based on, and that can contribute to the way the people behave. Because those are the pillars within the tradition. Okay, so if you kill your 10,000-year culture for another one, you kill yourself. Okay, some of these cultures are very, very old. Okay, and another thing that we need to look at, like let's say a country like Belgium in Europe, is smaller in size than many smaller ethnic groups within Africa. Okay, even Portugal, when Portugal could be even smaller than certain ethnic groups within Africa, but they have their own country, their own language, as he said in the beginning of the interview about Europe. Okay, a lot of ethnicities within Africa are bigger than Germany, bigger than France, bigger than Portugal. So why, if Europeans can have their countries based on their languages, why can't African be the same? Why African have to share a country with many other languages and nothing is working? Why? 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 And it's becoming a taboo. You cannot discuss it, and nothing is working. Why? You see, there are ethnicities within Africa nations that are bigger than Portugal, bigger than Spain, bigger than Luxembourg, Switzerland. All these nations, small and big within Europe, having their own languages. Ireland, okay? Belgium is like a Greater Accra region. Okay, the whole Belgium is like the Red Accra region. They have their own language. Why can't Accra people have their own language and nation? Then, based on this, you can go into union with other nations based on uh, mutual respect and understanding, not what Europeans put together and then allowed one dominant culture to dominate everybody for European profit, where they pay rent to the houses that are controlling Nigeria or some other ethnicities that are controlling other country. They pay rent to them and take 95% of the profit, and it's not working. Okay, let's hear you at the comment section. Okay, a beautiful topic. It's not controversial. We need to have this topic. We need to have them. We need to have them so that African can grow. Africa can have 200 countries. It doesn't matter. You just forget about Africa having one. It will not happen. One big African nation. It will not happen. That is a dream that would never happen. You see, that would never happen. But African can be 200 nations and then work together. Can then work together and work. Nigeria can be 7, 8 nations and it will work together. African work in territorial. Africa works better, not nation state. Nation state is a European a machination for Africa. Ghana can be 5 nations and it will work. There will be respect. There will be mutual understanding within the states. No, whether some going to be poor, fine. There's so many things that you can trade. No nation can be poor. There's so many things you can trade. Intellectual properties, whatever, whatever you see is within your environment can make you money. You see, intellectually, you can train your people to be very good in technology. If that is what you have, you don't have a great number of resources on under the earth. The resources you can mine the mind of your youth and your people to be great in technology, and they can export that technology and be fine. You see, so there are so many ways, we can have this thing done. Thank you for listening. Let's hear you from the comment section. Share and subscribe. We're going to be bringing you a whole lot of stuff that we can think about. We need to be talking. We need to be talking. We need to be talking.